due to the TSA.
Hi, everybody. It's Nancy Reyes with For Your Canine
And Joanne Soicki with For Better For Worse.
at the
And
Dallas.
Lisa Pascal with oh my God, Canine Defined. Wow.
Right.
Distracted.
All right. Hi, everybody. I hope, thank you for tuning in. Let us know you're out there. Today, we're going to actually talk to some new trainers that are new in the, that are new to our field. They've been training probably 3 years or so, some maybe less, some maybe more, but that's pretty new for a new trainer. So again, we always are trying to expand like what an industry is about and some of the ins and outs and some of the struggles that we have. So I thought it would be a really interesting topic to talk to some trainers that have been in the business just a short time and find out why they got to the business and what they find fun and what they find that's challenging. So I thought that this would be, hi Deb. So I thought this would be an interesting, so we have a couple of friends from, they're not all, they don't all work for me. so we have Victoria Carthy-Cruse, that's from Canine Country Academy in Lawrenceville, Georgia, and Liz Vanderhoef that works for Your Canine. And then we have Livvy Shafer that is also that works at Canine Country Academy. So we're gonna start with just asking them some questions about dog training and why they became one. We are waiting for one more, and she's having some technical problems, so we'll see how that works out. So really quickly, so we'll go kind of in a row. So why did you, or how, or what put you on the path to become a dog trainer? We'll start with Victoria.
I've always been really interested in animal behavior and like dog behavior specifically, especially the like human canine interactions, given how we domesticated them as we evolved ourselves. I've always thought that was very interesting. And so I got a dog as an adult and she had some health issues. And so when she was a puppy, we had ended up taking a back burner on a lot of training, and getting her back into it really made me want to get more into that world of learning about the behavior and learning about why dogs do things. And kind of the most hands-on way to do that is be a trainer.
Okay. How about you, Liz?
Well, it all started with Ruger. After he was attacked, I had him about 3 years. He got attacked by 3 dogs off leash, and then ever since then, he was severely dog reactive. And it was suggested to us to go to For Your Canine to start sports. We started sports, which launched kind of like my interest in not only training dog sports, but also behavior and reactivity. So just really learning more about the whys of the behavior that we were seeing with him was really intriguing to me. But he's kind of the center of why I'm a dog trainer now.
Okay. Oh, really quickly, Victoria, how long have you been training?
2 years now.
2 years now. And Liz?
Just over 2 years too.
Just over 2 years too? Okay. Okay, sorry. Okay, Livvy, same question. Why did you become a dog trainer?
So for me, it started with Trixie. She is a rescue dog that we got from the Humane Society here. She came to us pretty human reactive, dog reactive, with separation anxiety and handling issues that we did not know about until we got her home. And I started working with Paula, private lessons for her. And she has made a lot of progress over the time. And I kind of just got really into it with all the dog sports that we've started with her, and wanting to help other people with their behavior cases. I only have one dog who doesn't have behavioral issues. So I want to help other people with that, basically.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I've been training a few months.
Yeah. Well,
But
it's so funny because that a few months, yeah. But I'll be honest, that's kind of how I got started as well. I had a dog with behavior problems, as well. A lot of human aggression and all that. Lisa, would you say that's true for you as well? You're muted. Oh yeah.
I know, because I had to deal with this thing. So
Yeah, I see that.
he's a big mouth. Yeah, it's the same thing. Well, I guess no. I mean, I guess when I started
Actually,
training,
I'm
I
a-
had
yeah, Max. So let me tell you how Lisa became a dog trainer. I'm going to tell you the story. I was
Oh, boy.
I was teaching, and she was a student. And Lisa had a very natural gift for reading the dogs and all that. And she was just a student. And I said, "Hey, have you ever thought of becoming a dog trainer?" And Lisa's like, "No." And she was like, "No." And then I'm like, "Okay." I go, "Well, because you have a natural way about you, blah blah blah." And then the next week she comes back to class. She goes, "Okay, yeah."
But I guess I didn't start with problematic dogs. I started with the littles, right? I had
Mhm.
a Maltese, a Yorkie poodle, a Shih Tzu poodle. Then I got Max the Papillon, who I got into agility with. And then I got the freaks. The freaks came later. I was like, oh, dogs are great. And then you're like, oh, maybe not this one so much. But and then you learn more. So that's how I did.
Joanne, how did you start?
I had a very, very high energy shelter dog mix, and I wasn't allowed to have a dog growing up, but I always wanted one. So as soon as I was allowed to have one, I just got drawn to it. And kind of same thing. The place where I was taking classes said, "Hey, do you want to start assisting in some classes and figure this out?" And I said, "Absolutely." So drew me in.
Yeah. So, because I've been training for, gosh, well, I used to say 20, but that was 10 years ago. So it's about 30 now. So it's about 30 now. And Lisa, Joanne, how long have you been in training?
Oh my, 17 years.
Mm-hmm. And Lisa, how long have you? You're muted. You're muted.
It was just kind of like whatever. I mean, I don't know how you were training, and then that's when I got into it after.
Yeah, so like 18 years. So about 18 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Long time. So okay, so that's interesting because it's like usually that seems to be the common thread, right? We become dog trainers because we had a dog that was Lisa's kind of the odd man out here that had normal dogs, and then the problematic ones came. But most of us start because we have dogs that have an issue or a problem or whatever, and that's how we end up. And then the more we learn about it, and the more we see the dogs change, the more we get into it, and so on and so forth. So it's an interesting little situation, right? So Victoria, so what do you like most about dog training?
I really enjoy the meeting like all the different dogs and interacting with all the different dogs. I find that the more different personalities I meet, like the more that I learn how to interact with each dog individually, and I enjoy that.
Okay. And okay. So do you work with people? You do classes too, right, Victoria?
Yeah, I do classes, privates, as well as the dogs by themselves. The people too. I just think it's interesting that like each family even that you meet, like they're all different situations and all different backgrounds, and all these dogs have their own personalities, and I just think it's really neat to get to meet them all and learn all of the different personalities.
Yeah. Yes, right. It's never boring. It's not a boring job, that's for sure.
It is not.
So Liz, how about you? What do you like most about it?
I want to say my favorite part. I mean, of course, we all love being able to like meet all the different dogs and stuff, but I think my favorite part about this job is seeing when there is a behavior change or when the families or the owners of the dogs start to kind of see that light for the cases that are making improvements. So when they kind of like look at their dog and they go, oh, okay, we got this. Like, oh my goodness, they're making so much progress. And you can just see kind of their joy in their life, like an excitement come back onto their face when they are making that progress. To me, that is probably one of my favorite parts, along with the dog also making improvements and working through some of those challenges that we have with behavior. But that's what kind of keeps me going, because as much as we're in it for the dogs, we're also in it for their humans too. So that's what keeps me going with it. That's my favorite part.
Okay, Livvy, how about you?
For me, I think it's seeing like the satisfaction in people when they have the little wins.
Yeah.
Like when they finally see some sort of progress, even if it's really small, just how happy and satisfied they are with it. And same with the dogs, like seeing that change in them and seeing them become more comfortable and kind of be like, yeah, I can do this thing. Is what I like the most.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a question from the audience. How many of you have given up a day job to be a trainer? And what was that job? And any regrets? Victoria?
Sorry, I was having a little technical difficulties.
Mhm.
I did not give up a day job for this. It was kind of my first like real adult job, as it were, and I worked part-time elsewhere, so it wasn't like a full-time thing. So, no.
Well, and I'm gonna be a little jealous here, Victoria, because I wish. This is Bri, everyone.
Hello.
I wish I would have. That's one of the only things. Like, I wish I would have started as young as you guys are. Like, you guys have such a leg up. So that is so amazing that you knew, like, this is where you started, like, right from the get. That's so amazing. That's because we all, Liz, Joanne, and Lisa and I all had other corporate jobs before we.
Some still have.
Yes, Joanne still works a regular normal job. But yeah, we all came from the corporate world, so it's so cool that you guys get to do that stuff, like right away, and so it's amazing, like, because I think back when I started years ago, where I'm now, like where you guys are going to be, and you guys are going to be so much younger. So I'm a little jealous. So anyway, go ahead, Liz.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I want to say my story is kind of weird in how I became a full-time dog. Well, not weird in the sense, kind of. I did have a full-time corporate job. I was a director of marketing for a food manufacturing company. And then I went to go support a team member down in Dallas, which is why then I started training with the person I was working with down there. Then they let me go in December of last year. And then I just kind of dived on in full time in December of last year. And I've been doing that and marketing consulting for other dog trainers since then. So I didn't leave. I was kind of pushed into it, but that's how I am doing it full time.
But it's nice having that option. So, okay. Yeah. How about you, Livvy? Did you?
Yes, sorry about that, Missy. It's okay. So I left a research position at CDC to do this because they found out the funding for my team got cut, and I had been wanting to make the transition anyway, and so I just used it as like the reason to just go for it full time.
Oh, awesome! So, Bri, really quickly, so. We'll go back a little bit for you. Like, what got you interested in being a dog trainer?
So I think it was during COVID when after I had 3 chihuahuas and they started passing away from all their own geriatric problems. But then I started getting really interested in behavior and different things because I started witnessing it kind of unfold before my eyes, different issues that made me really interested in wanting to help me find a reason to be able to make them be able to cope in life and to be able to help them through things. But initially what got me really loving the training bit is taking tricks classes, and just the whole mechanics of that learning process is like, oh, this is fun and I can do this. But then the whole behavior bit was
with my chihuahuas was just that extra step of that wanting me to kind of get through the door and help others and help myself as well, right?
Mm-hmm. So Bri works for your canine, so she's one of our trainers as well there. So just so you know, because Bri also expressed a lot of interest in getting and learning more, and I not a lot of people come saying, "Hey, I want to do this," and come in full board, but Bri does. so I figured we're all getting old, I know I'm getting older, so it's important to kind of get the new up and coming trainers going so that we can um, do what's best for our clients. So Deb, I did actually give up a day job, a very well-paying one, to become a dog trainer. But I have no regrets at all. This is one of the things that's interesting is like, this is what I was supposed to be doing. So that's why it's so nice that Victoria, like right off the bat, this is what she gets to start working on. And not that it doesn't come with its challenges, but it is kind of cool. I wish I would have, that's my only thing. I wish I would have figured it out sooner. Is probably my biggest regret, is not figuring out that this is something I should have been doing sooner. But that's how about you, Lisa? Because I know Lisa also had a corporate job.
So. I did. I was working on a medical area because that's been where I've been my whole life. And then finally I was like, sick of dealing with people and not knowing whose poop I was picking up, right? So I'm like, well, I can pick up poop for dogs, and at least know what I'm doing. But I don't have any regrets. I mean, I think in the grand scheme, things come the way they're meant to come, meant to happen. And I'm glad that I've had all the opportunities able to do what I did to get to this point, I don't know if I would have been mentally mature enough to take on it sooner than I actually did, though. So,
well, that's true. Maybe that's why it was so kind of later. Because you're right. Maybe I would. Because
I was a little too much out partying and stuff, and then I'm like, I got tired because I got old and dealing with medical stuff. So
How about you, Joanne? I know you're still working, but
so I actually have a 40-hour-a-week job. I work for John Deere, corporate America, right? I enjoy that job. And so I work with an IT team and we support some applications. And so, then I leave there and I go to my other job, which is trying to run a dog training business. So, I don't know, like it's hard to walk away from the financial security, especially when, the company that I work for has such great work-life balance. So it's really hard because, it's a great benefit company. I have health insurance, I have vacation, I have all those things. You don't get vacation when you own your own business.
Nope,
so it's hard to keep up. I will give you that. It's really hard. But it seems to be working thus far. So I'm going to keep on keeping on until I have to make a change.
Yeah, no, it's pretty challenging. So the other question I had for you guys is what have you found have you found anything in dog training that was more challenging than you thought it would be, like a aspect of it, right? Because we deal with dogs, we deal with people, we deal with we deal with a lot of different things. Is there any aspect of that you have found more challenging than you anticipated? Victoria?
I think the people aspect, I've never been a huge people person, and in this job you kind of have to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I did not think of it, I guess, as almost a customer service job, and it really is. So leaving like retail, where that's pretty much where you're working, I didn't expect the skills to transfer as much, and I didn't expect some of the challenges that present themselves when you have, frankly, the number of emotions involved as you have when you have like a dog, especially when it's like
you're exhausted and you have 3 kids at home and you have a puppy who won't stop peeing on your floor and you're just about to lose it. And then it's our job partially to just be like, you can take a deep breath. It's okay. Like, you're going to get through it. And so that I didn't necessarily expect. I do kind of enjoy that part of the job. The like problem solving, but specifically when it comes to the people, I do enjoy it, but I didn't expect that to be such a big part of the job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good point, Victoria, because it is. Some days you're like, okay, because there is a lot of emotion, because it's like it's almost like dealing with somebody's kid, right? And there's a lot
Pretty
of
much.
emotion behind. Yeah, it is a lot. There is a lot of emotion behind that. So that's a really good. That's a good point. That's really good. Yeah. So yeah, you don't think it's going to be as, but at least because I know how a lot of the more veteran dog trainers are like, well, I got into dog training because I don't like people so much. I'm like, well, I've never had a dog drive up to my place and pay for classes, so that is a big. But yeah, the emotional piece of it, yeah, I could totally see how that would be a thing. So for sure. Liz.
So the people part of this job actually came pretty easily for me. Because I've worked in the restaurant industry for like ever. And so that it came pretty easily because I was managing a bunch of people too within that. I think the hardest part, or what I find most challenging, is like weeding out like the bad information that's out there, and like trying to, especially when it comes to like alpha theory, like that's the hard part for me, is just to like constantly say it over and over and over again, like this has been debunked, and like just trying to get weeding out the bad resources that are out there and getting people the good resources and kind of elevating those a lot louder than those bad ones. To me, that's kind of the challenging part about this job, is that there's just so much bad info, terrible info out there. I actually really like that people part about it though. So,
Okay, that's good. Livvy.
So for me, I kind of expected the people part of it because I started off doing admin work for Paula with Canine Country Academy. So I answer the phone for everybody, and I still do that. So I kind of knew what to expect as far as that went, but what I wasn't anticipating was how nervous I would be doing classes in front of a group of people. It like falls under the realm of like public speaking for me, and so I am really like, it just makes me nervous to do it in front of a group of people. One-on-one, I think I find it a lot easier, but I definitely get like the nervousness is harder for me, and I didn't anticipate it.
Yeah, because you're a pretty outgoing person and pretty lively. So yeah, I can see that. Okay. All right, Bri.
So I like to think of myself as a who likes to talk to people. I like talking. I swear I like to hear myself talk sometimes. But I think the biggest thing I have a hard time with is, there's people like trying to have people want to do the good thing for their dog, as in like, how do you translate that this is really what's good for your dog? This is what's helping them emotionally, what's wholeheartedly what they need, mentally and physically and all those things. But it does sound like it's, for on the other side, it's just like a lot of work and it's doing this and doing that. But having people like want to see that this is how they do good for their dog, I think that's the hardest thing for me to translate. And as someone who is extremely caring to a fault, I think, and tries to be, a little bit innocent to the world, I at times, that's probably my biggest struggle, is how do I help people really see that, even though maybe that's just not within their wheelhouse at the time.
Lisa, did you have something to say? Because I think I was going to say, what did you find the most challenging in the beginning?
I guess.
Okay, so this is for the veteran ones. What did you find challenging in the beginning, and what do you find challenging now? Is it the same thing, or is it a different thing?
No, it's different. I think first I was kind of like Livvy, where I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. So, and then of course Nancy was like, "You can do it, go!" And I'm like, "Okay." today we're going to work on, so that was a little tricky. But you know what? I think at a certain point, you're like, this is the information. This is who I am. This is how I can help. You know what I mean? You find your niche and how you can communicate. And then you find a level of comfort. And then sometimes there's days when I'm doing stuff, I'm like, did I just say that? Oh my God, I sounded so intelligent for that moment. and then I'm like, oh, and so it's interesting because you go through those stages. And now I'm like, now I can probably do it in my sleep and so forth. I think the hard part is the repetition at times. I think that's hard when you're constantly repeating the same thing. And yes, you hear a lot about people, the disheartening thing too. And I don't know why, but I almost feel like I hear it a little bit more now than I did back then about the whole alpha and stuff like that. And they're trying to dominate you and, stuff like that. And I don't know if it's the area I'm in or what. I don't hear it as much when I'm in Illinois, but I do hear it more here in Indiana. And I'm not sure if that's what that's about. The other really thing that like breaks my heart is when I remember there was one incident and it still bothers me to this day. There was a dog that I was called to the home to do a private for, and it was somebody who knew me and it was their aunt and uncle. And what happened was I went there. It was a German Shepherd. She was nervous. She was barking. She was on a prong collar. I went into the house and basically they're like, see, this is what she does. And I said, okay, let's go outside. And we worked it and so forth. And she said, no, I'm not going to pay you, okay, until you take this dog and walk it down to the end of my driveway and back. And I was like, I got livid. I was just ready to explode and vomit everywhere because I was so upset because I felt it was not fair to the dog. And the dog was clearly terrified. And so then I took the dog and I'm like, because I had faith, I knew this dog well enough, right? And I took the dog and I walked her down and back and she was all worried. And I'm like, come on, you can do it. And encouraged her and she was fine. She was a little hesitant, but I didn't push her. And then as we come back and then she's like, well, she didn't do anything. Yeah, I don't want to get bit. And I know how not to get bit, thanks to my time of training. And so then we're talking and I said, you know what, don't worry about paying me because I'll tell you something. If your dog bites me or bites anybody else, you'll have a lot more to worry about than actually having to pay me. So I was livid. I was fuming. I was holding it together because I could feel the tears coming. And I go to my car to leave and the dog tries to get into my car with me. And that broke my heart. So and she was like, please, it just felt weird, right? It felt so sad. And then I left and I didn't get paid. And I was like, whatever, because it's not even about that at that point, right? I just felt bad for the dog. And I pulled over and I just bawled because I was just like, how can you not see that? How can you not see that in your own dog, that it's fear? And that's the hardest part is when you get those cases and it's hard to break through, I think those give me a lot of pause anytime it happens. Fortunately, it's not, I'm better at weaning out people now. I'm like, well, I do this and I do this. So, cause I'm not even going to put myself out there for that because it'll burn me out if I keep doing that.
Yeah.
So
Joanne, how about you?
I would say in the very, very beginning, it's hard not to have all the answers. Right? Like, I don't know how to help you is not an answer that you want to tell someone, but it takes a lot of courage to be able to say, I don't know, let me ask somebody who knows more than me. Because again, it's not about me. It's about trying to help that dog. Right. So it was really hard to come to terms with that. And I would say now it's real similar to what Lisa said, right? I don't understand why people will pay you for your expertise and then disagree or make excuses or tell you why that's not right. And you're like, you hired me to come in and tell you, and try to help you. And sometimes they're just, that's not right. I want you to wave a magic wand and I want you to make it better. It's like, this is a living, breathing, emotional animal. So nothing that I can or will do to push that, and making people see and understand that it is, it's not everyone, but it's hard to get those scenarios.
Yep. And I would agree that's the most challenging piece, right? Is having is not being able to figure out how to help people understand about handling the dog or why this is a problem, especially if they have a dog. So yeah, that's where as Victoria said, it's all the emotional piece when you have to tell this person that this dog has this issue or that issue, or they need more work or whatever. It's very becomes a more and you really want to help the dog. And sometimes the hardest part for me was we can't help all of them, and sometimes you're going to have to let some go. And that, in the beginning, I'm going to be honest, was heart-wrenching. But now it's like, then you have to think about all those dogs you can help and you can do good for, and you need to be there for them. And then hopefully the information you gave that person may help them think about it down the road or whatever. But you have to keep on going and help those that you can. So that becomes a challenge, because I started my business because I wanted to help people change the way they deal with their dogs, and that still rings true. That's what I want to be able to do, and help them understand their dogs better. Because the better they understand, the less difficulty you will have communicating with them about what the dogs need. But it's not always easy, right? Okay, so Kathy has a question. So what are you training? Oh, so what this is a good question. What kind of things what do you train, Victoria? Do you do dog sports, or do you just do behavior stuff? What do you do? What do you train specifically?
I do puppy and like manners type stuff, and then I also do some dog sports. So I teach barn hunt and I teach scent work specifically right now.
Yeah. And Victoria herself has become a pretty fab handler there with her little corgi and scent work and barn hunt. So, because that's the other thing, the more you learn, the better you get with your own animals. So there's also that, for sure, that benefit. So, good. Okay. And Liz, I know what you're training, but.
Yeah, for those who don't know, I do classes. I do barn hunt classes. We're going to be hopefully talking about doing like beginner nose work stuff soon. And then I do some more like advanced classes and a focused Fido class. And then I do behavior privates, primarily focusing in like fearful and reactive dogs. I don't take any bitey dogs because it's a little bit beyond me right now still. And then I'm getting ready to finish my separation anxiety certification. So once I finish that, I'll be taking sep-anx cases.
Livvy?
I do puppy class, impulse control, barn hunt, nose work, and then I do board and train as well.
Okay. Bri?
Doing the puppy socials, some of the manners things with teaching adolescent dogs, and also teaching dogs that are highly excitable, teaching them some impulse control stuff as well, how to rein it in, that not them just themselves, but the owners as well. Right? Those moments.
Yeah, good. So Jen, are you asking where Fido is? He's at home. I am in Minnesota.
No. I think she's asking what is focused Fido.
Oh, what is Fido? Oh, Focus Fido. Focus Fido is just pretty much a manners class and impulse control to help the dogs focus on their handlers and all that. It's usually with young adolescent dogs that are from 6 months to 18 months that are
I went all the way to Chicago with the Doberman for that class.
Yes, you did. And we specifically work on those kind of problems, the Focus Fido. I mean, it has a lot of names. It could be adolescents, it could be, but it's basically because Lisa could jump in here. Most of the time, dogs are turned into the shelter between 6 and 18 months because that is the most challenging time for those. You are the center of the universe in Minnesota. So we that is usually the age that they're surrendered, right, Lisa? You would say?
Yeah. Up until anywhere from like what 5 months up to it's up to 3 years.
Yeah.
But now with the economy, we're seeing a lot more older dogs sadly coming in, which really sucks. It's bad. So.
Yeah. So usually with the young ones, that's what we're that's where when people are at their edge of the rope, and this goes, and here it kind of goes. We're gonna go back. Liz mentioned about all the misinformation out there, and that is the biggest thing we have to deal with, is all that misinformation about the being dominant and all that misinformation, which I'll be quite honestly, I'm not sure where it's coming from, but it's not. It's. I think it's TV. They see all these things. I don't know. I don't know. Huh?
TikTok. TikTok, Caesar Milan. I've seen an uptick in misinformation ever since TikTok has become popular, because the dog world on TikTok is brutal. I've seen a lot of that increase because of that. And a video goes viral and they're like, oh, that's the way it's supposed to be done, because we have people who are doing more compulsion stuff and they can get a dramatic before and after video within a 30-second clip. And that's not realistic, because you're just shutting the dog down, and people are like, right. Oh my gosh, I need to do that with my dog. And I'm like, no, you don't need to do that with your dog. So it's that instant gratification piece that people are like obsessed with, thinking that they can fix their dog in 1 second.
And so I have to say, Bri and Liz are my youngest trainers. Everybody else is older, and it's been they have been educating me quite a lot about what, like TikTok, like Kathleen says, you're glad you're not on TikTok. Yeah, but the new generation is on it. So you kind of have to know what's going on in there, and because that's going to determine what's going to happen later on. So yeah, it's a pretty, and just the different, where we get really comfortable with people our own age or our own, thing. And we need to know what's coming down the pike, because it is coming down. Right. And so that's why it's really important. I'm kind of big on, they know, the younger folks know what's going on and where it's coming from. And TikTok is a thing. I'm not on TikTok. I mean, I'm now, but I don't post, but I know it's a thing. So it's something to keep an eye on and all that. And that was because of Bri and Liz, because they're like, yep, it's a thing. And so they start to point you on the, things that you didn't think about before, that it's different, that's not comfortable in my world. Right. So Linda Hill had a really great question. Interest in Joanne say, who knew that TikTok could influence? Joanne? Go girl.
Yeah, it's just the newest thing, right? So it was like Facebook turned into the old ladies posting their ribbons of their dog agility. You know what I mean? And then Instagram came along, and that's still a sort of thing. But TikTok, it's all the videos and the ability to put music to videos, right? So there'll be something else, right?
Yeah.
It'll come. Technology moves so fast.
But TikTok now is a big thing.
It is a big thing. But again, you don't have to be anybody. I mean, you don't even have to be a dog trainer. Right. You can put your video out there with your pinch collar on and put your dog up on the pedestal and say, stay. And you're amazing. And it's always the people with Malinois and German Shepherds and Dobermans that, look at me. My dog sits up on a post. I'm an awesome dog trainer. So I always say, if you ever see pictures of animals being perched on things, beware.
Run. Yeah, run away.
Yeah.
Right.
So Linda had a really great question, because this is we did a Facebook Live on this a while ago, but it's worth talking about, because this is how do you get started in training licenses? There is no licensing for dog trainers. That is one of the problems, right? There is no licensing body. You can become, you can take a test and become a CPDT and all that stuff, but there is actually no real governing body in our profession, right? It is, and that is the challenging part. So Um, there's some great now. There's some great people out there with some, good information and all that. But that's how you learn it, and then really learning under someone. I had a mentor, and then and when you mentor someone, you mentor others to get them to, you keep passing it along. You have to.
Right.
Dog trainers back in the day would be like, "It's my secret." It's not your secret. It's nobody's secret. Everybody can look it up, and people were, old timers tend to worry about somebody taking all their business. It's like, no, we have to prepare the next generation, and unfortunately, there is absolutely no certification. You have to kind of check a lot of stuff out. That's why it's so hard, going to different places. So, Victoria, what are you doing? What besides Paula? What other things have you done to get ready to train? For your, to start dog training, because I know you mentor under some of the other trainers, right, that you work with.
So part of the apprenticeship is kind of shadowing the other trainers and auditing their classes, seeing how they run things, seeing how they do private lessons, as well as we have like certain books that we're supposed to read. And there's some like webinars that we've done. Paula gives us access to any like webinars she has paid for. So on our like Facebook group that's just for people that work there, we can go in there and look at like webinars for different topics or get access to like online conferences or that sort of thing. So there's a lot of resources that are kind of given to us or given us to be able to access with doing the apprenticeship, more than just like being here or like watching people.
Right. And this Paula Nowak, a great friend of mine, owns Country Canine Academy, and that's what she's set up for her folks, right? And because again, Paula and I, same, we have great people, great dog trainers that we have to give them the skills to do it. And there's no one school that's going to give you what you need, and there's some give you certain things and not others. So it's a learn as you go situation, right? And the thing is, if you're lucky and you get in with somebody good, it'll be great. And if you're not, then that's why there's such a variety of different training method styles and methodologies and things like that. So Liz, how about you?
Yeah, so my biggest thing was just finding like a handful of mentors. You were one of them. Jill was one of them. And then continuing education. I got my family dog mediator certification. I'm working through my separation anxiety pro trainer certification. Just taking as many courses as I can. So there are and I'm very lucky at the fact that because of my marketing consulting, I also have like some of the biggest names in dog training as like some of my mentors as well. So I can consult with them on cases as need be if I, need to. And I do quite often just to get their perspective on things, because again, just like, Nancy and Lisa and Joanne, they've been doing it for a lot longer than I have. And I like to see all of the different perspectives from all of the different people that I know. So, baby dog, sorry. So I have I have one certification. I'm working on another one. I'm probably going to go for my CPDT next year. And then just continuing to do conferences and webinars and workshops. And a lot of it too comes from taking classes with other trainers or auditing a class with another trainer, because just because you work at the same place doesn't mean you don't have a different style or you don't know different information. So that's kind of how I keep my information. Yeah. And once you think that you know it all, you should probably stop training, because you never know everything.
Nope, because I wish I did. But... All right, Livvy.
So I have the same resources as Victoria. So we have the webinars and things, and we shadow classes with the other trainers. Additionally, I'm a big podcast person, so I love to listen to Cog Dog Radio with Sarah Stremming, and like Drinking from the Toilet is another one of my favorites. And then I also am doing some Fenzi classes. I'm doing like an arousal class and sport dogs. There's a cooperative care one. So
great.
Reading books.
Bri?
So besides reading like close to like a 20 different books about, you know, all sorts of things on dogs, I think I came to Nancy and I was like during a focus Fido class, I was like, hey, think about becoming a dog trainer. So obviously I shadowed Nancy a little bit, I shadowed Lisa and Liz. Every weekend I have off from my other job, I try to jump in with Liz's classes, as well as my family dog mediator certification. But yeah, just, and I, as well as other team trainers at 4 Year Canine, is if I can jump into their class and just hang out like a fly on the wall or help out, that's I've gained a lot of information that way.
Yeah. And so you see, and there's still more. Like for my trainers now, I have where they can go on Suzanne's stuff and look at all the webinars there, as well as, and there's a lot more other, like Kim Brophy's Legs, which is the family mediator, is a great jumping off point, and it's a great place to start, but it gives you that basic information on how to look at the dogs, because it's not when we started, at least, it was very much operant. It didn't have all these other things that operant conditioning is great, but back when I started, that was the only thing, and there's so much more to it now. There's a more a bigger approach to it. So and when I was learning it, it was a very big struggle, because it's like, how come this doesn't work? This operant condition isn't working for this dog. Well, because there were other things there that weren't being addressed. So, and I knew it, but I didn't know what to do, and how to make that work. So now, after you've seen it enough times and you've seen other trainers, and now one of the things I was talking to Lisa about the other day is there was a limited amount of people back in the day that were on the top of their well-known dog trainers. Now we have some younger, more, I like what's coming up. I like what I'm seeing. It's a lot, not that remember those that have been around a long time, only had that certain information. Now there's so much more information out there. I like what I'm seeing from like Kim Brophy and Michael Shikashio and some of the others. I'm seeing some really great things. So it's one of those that our profession continues to evolve. I do wish, however, that there would be some kind of a real licensing body. It would just make things easier, and also a better way. And this is where I kind of put a lot of my focus and attention, is how to communicate better with people so that we can get them to understand what we're trying to do. But it's so hard when you're fighting TikTok and Caesar and all of that and misinformation. It's very frustrating, because you're just, to them, just a customer service kind of a person, instead of, Caesar's on TV. So,
well, that's a good point too. Sorry to cut you off. Is Bri asked me, like last weekend or the weekend before, she was like, we were talking about that she struggles with like not just knowledge dumping everything onto them. And she goes, how do you do it? I'm like, you just kind of have to meet them where they're at to start.
Yep.
And kind of just starting to like drop in the little things. And as they're starting to see those small like behavior changes in their dogs, or the small wins and stuff, you point those out, and then using whatever you can to relate to them, like whether it's kids, whether it's different analogies, explaining it in a bunch of different ways. And like, you learn that the people who want to know more will know more, but sometimes we just have to meet them where they're at. And if they just don't want to know, then hopefully we can continue to encourage them to know more. But
right. And which is why in my facility, we don't have, if you wear a pinch collar or whatever, we don't care. We're just hoping that we'll get to teach you that there's a different way to do it. Right. So we're not going to judge you or tell you you're wrong right as you walk in the door. We really, really want you to come in and learn more about it. Because if we start to alienate people, then they're not going to learn. So
Yeah, that's a big thing that I'm seeing across like TikTok, and I don't know if Victoria and Livvy and Bri are seeing the same thing just in general, is that like there's so many like people radically on both sides of the training spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's really focusing on like meeting our clients where they're at with their dogs. And I always say that if somebody feels safer handling their dogs currently with a pinch collar on, I'm going to meet them where they're at, get them to a point where they feel safe handling that dog without it. And then we can talk about, I will make them aware of the potential fallouts of using those tools, but I'm never going to say, nope, in order to work with me, you have to take those things away, because they need that to feel safe. And if that's what they need to feel safe right now, okay,
Right.
we'll meet here. And there's a lack of that right now. There's not enough empathy for the owners in that situation.
I don't think though I don't know about you guys, but I mean, like Joanne and Nancy, have you seen? I think that was always the case. That's the one thing I don't think that's really changed in dog training, unfortunately, right? Is that everyone's so judgy. I mean, we're already way judgy anyway, but everyone's so judgy about techniques and do this and do that, and you can't do this. And I'm like, I don't get it, because it's like, we're all different learners. We're all different individuals, and we need to, try to bring about conversations is not to headbutt, but to try and open up the ideas, right? And so I don't get it. I don't understand it. I mean, if we're all trying to do the same thing, why? Why do we have to do that?
Don't you feel like we saw way more of that because we do rescue work? Do you know what I mean? Like the judginess of somebody having to give up a dog.
Yeah.
I think there's different. I think you would get the judgy, right? And I mean, even here, like I hear it sometimes, oh, they're giving up because whatever. And I'm the one who's intaking the dogs to talk to the people. And I'm like, you can't judge them because it's already a difficult situation. Mm-hmm. And some of them, I have to tell you, sometimes they're walking away bawling and I feel horrible for them. And I'm like, I'm sorry, we're going to do what we can to find them a good home, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's other times where they, oh, well, I've had this dog for 9 years and now we're allergic. And I'm like, well, okay, that's interesting. However, things change, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I do think you do see a lot more judgy stuff in rescue because it's such a broad, there's no like people like with certain types of training, you'll get a gathering of like of specific like-minded people. So it's not as judgy. But yeah, I do think you see a lot of it in rescue. Unfortunately, it's sad to me.
Yeah, it's like that lack of open-mindedness that some people have. Is that like some of us, like I consider myself obviously more on like the positive or force-free, whatever. I don't like to use the labels like on the one side of the spectrum. And then we have people that I do know and that are, good friends of mine that have brought different perspectives to me that are more on the balance side, but have taught me different ways of doing things that I didn't even think of. And it's like, well, we could just like mesh that together. Right. I think we'd be in a lot better space.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too, there's an old joke says, if there's 10 trainers in a room, 9 will agree that the one doesn't know what they're doing, because it's kind of how it goes. But the truth is, most of us. I mean, I have met people that are in this business to make money, which I don't know about that, but we're here for the dogs and to help people understand their dogs better. I think that at the end of the day, but yeah, that unfortunately, I'm not sure how to tackle that. Have dog trainers work together because they're driven by different values and different things, right? And it's like you have to do what you feel good about and make a change in your part in the neck of the woods. And that's why one of the things I wanted to Liz actually says we should do this, and I'm like, yeah, we should, because this is really good. Like how you guys you guys are the future of dog training, right? And hopefully you will bring what you learn from the good, and the bad as you go on. And because it does get easier, I promise you, getting up in front of people, talking to people, and all that. Because Livvy, I didn't have that problem so much when I was teaching classes, but when that came up for me, when I was starting to teach seminars in other places, I was like, can't do that. It was so hard. And I'm a pretty talkative person, but it was, but so different aspects, you know, and eventually as you go on, you'll have different things that you'll find more interesting. And the other thing I wanted to say, one of the things that and this is my strict opinion, and I have no, and I wanted to get your feeling on it. I do believe that if you do a dog sport with you don't have to be a super competitive person or anything like that. But if you do a dog sport where you have to train your dog to a certain level, it gives you a different perspective. And I think it's an important one than those trainers that don't do that, just their dogs are just pets, right? I think it really is helpful to do something, whether, and you don't have to be the best at it. And it doesn't matter what sport it is, but I think it gives you a different perspective on how much the dog really can learn and how much the dogs really can do. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. Lisa?
Do you want us to go in order, or do you?
I'm going to ask Lisa, because Lisa has been in and out of the dog sports world, but she's been in it more than she's been out of it. And I think, I'll be honest, I think she's better. She's she's not strictly just, she's more focused on the pet, but she's also trained a dog to a certain level of expertise, right?
Yeah, I go back and forth. I mean, honestly, like, I like to sleep. So being up, I know, call me granny, okay, whatever. But but I do like to sleep, and as we get older, it becomes more valuable. I don't know why, but anyway, no, and I think
you're right.
So like giving up some of the times to do certain things that require a lot of, I like training it. I like training the sports. I do. The competition part, if I do it, it's going to be more, because I can type of thing, if that makes sense. It's not really, to me, I want to go out and have fun. And if we don't do well, it's not going to break me. It's going to be a good experience, something to take home and say, oh, we got to work on this, what have you. But I guess what's been the deterrent for me is how long the trials can be, because they are time consuming. And, but I do like training the dogs, period, whatever, regardless of what they want to do. But the thing that I noticed, and I see it more, I guess I don't necessarily see it as big of an issue for people who do dog sports, is because they've already established a good relationship with their dog and they're moving forward. So they've got the cake and now they're putting the icing on it. And I think a lot of the world, because right now, at trainers that I'm seeing, like, they have different perspectives and so forth, and it's not right or wrong, but it's different. And I think sometimes the things that bother me morally are that you're not giving the dog choice, and you are suppressing behavior for the sake of your own benefit. And I don't feel that that's fair. And so I want to help people, and I see that more in the pet community, that they have a harder time sussing out the information that's out there. So I want to try to affect it in that way, and then push them onto a sport, and then be like, go see this person or go do that with that person. Just because I also think it's important for people to get tastes of different people, so they find what makes sense to them. Because as well as I do, we can repeat it by record. Same thing every week. It'll hit the note when it's meant to. And sometimes that's not us.
Yeah, and I think I would agree. I like to take pet people, even if they're just do tricks, and that's why we try to have events where they can showcase that, because it does help them see how, really have that partnership with their dog that we don't really get in, and that we don't. So that's why we don't really push the dog sports, but we do. I've seen the value in a different way, because we're not super competitive where we are. I mean, some of our people are, but a lot of our people are just doing it to have a good time. So, Joanne, are you on your flight leaving soon?
I think it's beneficial to every once in a while, even if you don't say compete, to go and volunteer at the sports that you're teaching. And the only reason why I say that is, like, if we take Noah's work, for instance, it's changed so much over 5 years. From the kind of hides that are being set, to the rules, to, what they accept and don't accept in terms of, reactivity and behavior, just all sorts of things. It's nice to be able to go to a venue so you can prepare your students for what to expect, surfaces and what is the environment like, and you need to make sure your dog's prepared to be in a crate all day, and all those things. I think
Or
I don't compete in obedience that much anymore, but it is a thing to go to those trials because it is like you can feel the tension in the air and the dogs feel it. So it's like, how do you prepare your students for that?
Yeah. And too, like Lisa, I'm sure and I do have a lot of people that feel the same way. They don't want to sit at a trail site all day. I'm like, okay. So then there's other things you can point them to that's going to be easier and more fun, because it's all about fun.
Yes.
The sport should always be about fun. So Victoria, do you think that's helped you be more passionate about what you're doing? Because you're also competing in different dog sports.
So I started competing before I started training.
Okay.
And partially being in that environment and seeing the variety, I will say, of ways people handle their dogs, I think is part of like one of the reasons I wanted to go into it, especially because one of my main sports is conformation. So I enjoy doing that now even more I'm in there to have a good time with my dog. I enjoy competing partially because it really, to me, highlights our relationship. Like, obviously, there's other ways we can do it, like cuddling in bed at night. Amazing. It makes me love her. But, like, being at the sports, it makes me be like, we did this together. We trained for this together. We're here together to do this. And I like doing it even more to be like, I'm here with this awesome relationship with my dog, and we've put all this work in, and we're just going to have a good time. And seeing people and some of the ways they handle their dogs, it makes me want to be there even more, to be like, you guys could be having fun. You could be having a great time with this amazing relationship. I want to be there being like, look, this could be fun. You don't have to be over there being miserable. You and your dog could be having a great time doing something you love together.
Right. Agreed. Yep. How about you, Liz?
Yeah, so one of the main focuses when I teach a barn hunt class is really the relationship building piece of the sport. But for me, definitely competing in the sports helps a ton because one, I can see, I get a feel for how the other dogs are working. So it lets me read dogs a lot better is when I can see more dogs. And then two, it shows my students that, like, if I make a mistake, it's because we're human and the mistake is on me, but we're still going to have fun. So I think that dog sports can help a lot. Again, it's meeting people where they're at. And if they don't want to trial, they don't have to trial. It's all about again, we keep saying it, but it's all about having fun. It's all about that relationship building with your animal, your pet. And that's for me kind of the biggest focus when I am teaching sports, and obviously helping the dog build confidence and come out of their shell a little bit. But that's how it helps me in my training. So
yeah, no, it's true. It's a building that team relationship. Livvy, are you doing Confo too?
Yeah, I do Confo with Ember, but my main dog sport is actually, it's a little different because it's lure coursing. So there's not much training per se that goes into it beyond having my dog recall to me at the very end of the course. But I think even doing that sport and seeing just being able to watch the genetics kick in for each breed, because they all will run a course differently, is fascinating, and seeing the relationship that people have with their dogs, because you can see it as they get them up to the line, as they're getting their dogs at the line. You can still see there are some people who are not having fun, who are not enjoying it with their dogs. And I'm like, this should be the most relaxed sport. Like, all you do is let them go and you get them at the end. But there are people who are like not having fun with it, but you could be. Like, I always have a blast. Even if my dog's a total ding-dong running on the course, I'm still having fun with him.
Yeah. Well, I was at a trail today. I made some mistakes. My dog's wonderful. But it is what it is. But we had a great day. We had a great fun. All right, Bri.
That.
So it's kind of funny. The first thing I started liking to do was with my dogs were tricks, right? And Harley used to love tricks, and ever since we had some dogs that passed, she kind of lost that a little bit. So I started doing barn hunt with her. I started nose work at first, and it was so interesting because my one dog Bubba, he like really loves nose work. You can just see he does like a little dance. He loves the nose work, but Harley was like not into it, and that's a relationship that I'm having kind of a little bit struggling with. And so I guess basically what really drives me is it really does help the relationship between you and your dog. And I've been taking Liz's barn hunt classes, and I swear I think I told somebody else, I was spreading little rumors, not really rumors, but Liz has just made the happiness of my dog flourish with barn hunt, and it's just like so awesome to see. And it's just igniting a little spark in my dog's relationship again. So I think there is something to say about doing sports with your dog, even if it's just for fun. It's just do it just do it just for fun.
Right, because it's and we need to encourage. We like to encourage our folks to do it, even if they never compete. Because remember, I don't know if you remember her, Lisa Denise with Oliver.
Yep.
She would come to agility class for 10 years.
Yep.
Never competed, and they had such a great time until the dog couldn't do it anymore. But it's all different ways, and again, you don't have to do that, but other ways to help people have that relationship with their dogs is what we're all about. So anyway, we're at the end. Thank you, ladies, for joining us and giving us this. I knew this would be kind of fun and interesting because I knew it's just different now that. And again, I remember I was sitting in the kitchen with Liz and Bri, and I'm like, they just energized me that day. And then I was just in Georgia with Victoria and Livvy. It was amazing. So I was like, this is something we definitely got to do. So
yeah, and thanks to you three, Joanne, Lisa, and Nancy, for taking us baby trainers on, because it's not easy to be a mentor to a mentee. So
Absolutely,
you guys.
Yes, thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you. Have a great night.
Bye.
We'll see you next
Good
time.
night, guys.
Good night.